Hello everyone, Daniel Kerr here. So yeah, I'm going to talk about the AKAI Force auto sampling function yet again. I've heard a lot of people say in various forums, NPC forums, on Facebook, in the groups, etc., that it's very difficult to use the AKAI Force auto sampling feature and get a good loop point using the auto looping function, right? So I wanted to show you a few things that I've learned. The auto sampling, it has a crossfade and X-fade amount that you can set before you get the auto sampler going. And spoiler alert, you need larger values to make it work, okay? Individual samples is what it is measuring, and not seconds, okay? So when you set it to a small sampling time, or excuse me, a small amount of samples, for the crossover position, right? Because it's fading the loop point into itself to lessen the blow, right? The thing about it is that samples are tiny, tiny, tiny increments of time. Okay, actually 674 samples will give you a tiny, tiny, tiny little single cycle single cell organism, single cycle waveform that will tune at 16 bits automatically to C. So that'll tell you how small it is. 674. I'm gonna do one right now using 100 samples, and then I'm gonna do one with 40,000, and I'm gonna let you hear the difference. Okay, so let's get started. Okay, so right here I have an instance of Massive, okay, and I've got, in my browser, I've got all these dubstep packs that I've downloaded, etc., and I've used these over the years, but right now, this is what it sounds like. Oh, come on. Oh, I got to go over here to my force, and you know what? Let's get started on the force right away. In the matrix view, I've got an empty project, no clips whatsoever. I'm going to add a MIDI channel, and I'm going to double tap that, and right here where it says MIDI output port, I'm going to turn it to force, okay? That way, in note mode, it outputs to the force, but now I have to go to the sampler, and I got to turn on the monitor. Okay, so now that is Massive. Okay, so over here on Massive, we have a patch. It's called Anya. Listen. That's okay. It's not the greatest synth sound, but you know what? It'll do. So over here on the force, let's go to the auto sampling feature, and I'm going to leave it as defaults. Minimum note C2 to maximum note C4. Note stride 6, meaning that it's going to sample every 6 notes, and 2 notes per octave, and extend minimum and maximum notes. What that means is that even though you're only sampling from C2 to C4, that the C2, which is the lowest note that you're going to sample, is actually just going to be pitched down to C negative 2, which is the lowest range in a MIDI keyboard. And maximum note C4 is just going to, that last highest note is just going to get pitched up to G8, which is the highest note in a MIDI keyboard, okay? And if I scroll down, I'm only going to do one layer of velocity. Don't need to do more than one. The note length, it's going to sample for 3 seconds, and the tail is going to be 1 second, okay? So when it lets go, it's going to sample 1 second of time after the 3 seconds. And then down here, the looping is forwards. The loop is going to start 500 milliseconds from the beginning, so it's going to cut off the attack, and then the loop end is going to be 2,500 milliseconds or 2.5 seconds into it, so right before the note ends, to try to loop from there back and forth into, it's going to try to loop the meat of this sample in the middle, not the very beginning, not the very end or the tail, okay? Crossfade, type, equal power, okay? X-fade samples. Let's set this thing to 100, which is a very low amount, okay? Many people are probably setting it to 25 or 30 or 10, right? We're gonna do this. Let's listen to what it sounds like. Huh. Seemed to cut off the beginning. Anyway, or cut off the very highest notes. Maybe this massive patch has a limit on how many notes, how high the notes can go. Anyway, here it is. Okay. Right away, you can hear that that does not sound good. Okay, so we'll go back to MIDI. And we'll go back to the sampler. And we'll go back to Autosampler. And this time, the crossfade samples will set to 40,000. Okay? Now let's hear it. Interesting. What's interesting about that is that this time it sampled all the notes, and last time it cut off at the higher notes. This is just another bug that I found in the AKAI Force, which has happened to me numerous times now. Nonetheless, here's what it sounds like now. 40,000 samples crossfade. Listen. All right, that's night and day. All you need to do is increase your sampling time. You know what? Let's go back to massive. Let's find a plucky voice. Let's see. Let's go back to... No, not plucky. Okay, beautiful. This one. Let's go back. When you have this sampled... back to the sampler, back to the auto sampler function. When you loop a plucky sound and you use large crossfade samples, it has a diminishing repeat, much like a delay. And oh, it sounds good. Let's do this. Oh, I can already tell it's going to sound great. So let's listen to it. Hear that? Isn't that beautiful? Let's go to the menu. Let's go to track edit for that guy. Go to envelopes, set the key groups to all, and drag the release all the way up. Let's listen. Yeah, love that sound. So there you have it. All you got to do is just increase the amount of samples in the crossfade and you get a better loop point. Is it the perfect solution? No, but it's pretty good. And now I'm just going to go back to making some music. You guys have a fantastic summer and be blessed.